what Brad Inglesby had done with our script was he created real people, they were real characters, and I just had to make myself as invisible as I could in this woman to make it hopefully convincing. Honestly, I'm just so relieved that I don't have to keep the secret about Ryan anymore. It was like, oh God. I mean, well, I hadn't even told my teenagers, my older kids who were 17 and 20. Right. You know, I first read these scripts, and in particular episode 7, in June of 2018.
Oh my God.
To have not told anyone but my children, and I share everything about my job with my kids, and they ask questions and they love it. Like they're really fascinated and they have cool, interesting things to say. And sure. To have kept that from them was, oh God, it was so hard. You know, my husband had read everything, but so that, you know, the two of us, we would so often find ourselves literally having like, you know, hushed discussions in like closets about episode 7 because we couldn't have the kids hear anything. I think it's so fitting of the heartbeat of the show ultimately to have made Ryan the killer, because it's just so poignant, you know, that this, it could happen to anyone, you know, that sort of paper thin line between just being a good kid and making a devastating decision that can alter the course of your life. It can happen to anyone, and it can happen to any of our children.
Siobhan called me. Hysterical. She couldn't even speak. She yeah. I don't even remember driving home.
So let me back up a little bit to episode 6, because I hadn't seen that yet last time we talked, and it contains just some amazing stuff. The first 5 episodes of the series, we see Mare as kind of this emotionally constipated person, and in episode 6, after the sort of compounded tragedy of Colin's death, we see her change. Particularly in therapy, she's able to open up for the first time about her son, about her father. What did the creation and like execution of that scene look like on your end? How did you prep for it, and what did you need to do to get in that space?
Well, because we filmed the entire show totally out of sequence. Like if I told you now that in the first week of our entire shoot in November 2019, we filmed absolutely every single scene across all 7 episodes at Mr. and Mrs. Carroll's house in our first week. I'm sure you probably wouldn't believe me, but we did.
That's wild.
So the scene in the shed with Mr. Carroll, when I say who cuts the lawn and he says Ryan Ross, was on day 4 of our shoot.
Oh my God.
Of a 100. I hadn't even met Cameron, who played Ryan. I hadn't even met him at that point.
Okay.
So my all my preparation for playing Mare, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work that I had to do over a period of months. You know, people have talked a lot about the dialect, and I've been questioned a lot about the dialect. To be honest, that was just one thing I had to do. I had to learn it. I had to get it out of the way. I had to keep chipping at it every single day. But the biggest stuff for me was the depth of the layering of this character and the things that she had gone through, the backstories with all of the characters, the relationships that Mare had with everyone, the shared histories they had. There was a lot. So for me, building up to those scenes where she finally opens up and she can talk about what happened to Kevin. Look, I can't say it any other way than just to say it was really, really hard, really hard. And because I'd worked alongside people who were survivors of family suicide. I actually have a very close friend who was a survivor of family suicide, and I work with him more than anyone, and that was very painful. It's not a friend on the periphery of my life. It's someone who's been in my life for 20 years and whom I've talked to a lot about what he went through over a number of years anyway, but to really get into the weeds with him about what he went through was a very important part of it. and working with a grief therapist, as we did in preparation for those scenes too. It was a sort of a melting pot of as much stuff as I could put into the emotion of what had happened to Mare. And I had a backstory about how she was as a mother. She had this very difficult child. She was embarrassed of this child. She says in episode 2 to the pediatrician, she says, I had to check it out after a while. She says it. She just couldn't cope.
Right.
And so the guilt, the extraordinary guilt that I knew this woman must have felt, that she had failed her son, or had she done things differently, maybe he would not have killed himself.
Right.
And for me, that was the driving force.
Right.
So the second she starts talking about what happened with the therapist, it's the beginning of the floodgates.
Right.
And it was tough. It was tough knowing how to sort of regulate my emotion in that scene, because it was all there, but I still had to hold so much of it back, because that's not what Mare would have done. She wouldn't have collapsed in a sobbing heap. It's all there, but she's fighting it, because that's who she is.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard. All of those scenes were really hard. I had huge support from Craig Zobel, our director. He was absolutely brilliant. Quite literally sort of held my hand. And we got through it.
Right.
It was just something we just had to get through it.
Right.
I cut him down. I remember I tried to catch him, but he was heavy. He was so heavy. Held him in my arms till the paramedics came, and then they had to pull him away from me.
What I thought was interesting in episode 6 was sort of getting into the genetic legacy of mental illness, and Mare kind of admitting that it was something that she had dealt with before. How did that element of her personality play in your creation of the character? Because we have this woman, she's feeling a lot of guilt, she's feeling a lot of grief, she's feeling a lot of things, and then where does the mental illness come into that equation?
Well, I think because I'm the same age really as Mare, there are things, I think, generationally and culturally, even though we're from different countries, are similar. Mm-hmm. I think as a collective community, we're starting to get better about talking about mental illness. Right. But when I was younger, this was just, go away and sort it out. So when Mare says to the therapist, my mom didn't have time for any of that, so I just coped. That's what Mare had to do, and generationally, that's what anyone who had depression or was difficult would have had to have done. And I think the interesting thing for me to play in those therapy scenes is that it isn't until this moment right now, when she's talking about what she went through as a young girl with the loss of her father and him being depressed and her own depression and how her mother dealt with all of that. It isn't until this moment right now that Mare perhaps realizes that what she experienced was not normal and was an extreme fractured emotional pattern of behavior in her genetic makeup and within her family, and that confronting that could be something that maybe she would consider doing by way of conversation. But so carrying all of that and that backstory, I mean, I had quite a detailed backstory that I'd built about Mare's relationship with her father, and it was quite literally this. She was a daddy's girl. They had a really unique bond that was different to her relationship with her mother, so much so that I felt that probably Helen was a little envious of the connection that her husband had with Mare, because she as a mother could not connect with Mare in that same way. And so Mare's relationship with her mother had always been a little bumpy and funky and not easy, and lots of things unsaid. And I decided that on the day that Mare's father had killed himself, that she had found him, and that actually they were going to a daddy and daughter's dance at her school that day. And she had a special outfit that she was going to wear, and she was all excited to dress up in. And that he chose that day to take his own life. And it was that left her with the feeling that she wasn't enough, And I had to create something as upsetting as that in the moment when she talks about it, it would trigger all this stuff, this visual that I'd created of this little girl who probably didn't even wear dresses very often, and this dress that she had picked out for herself and was all excited to put on and proud to go to school to this dance with her dad. And so I had to create these agonizing things that I could rely on that were absolutely clear to me. They were crystal clear. They became little realities for me in the playing of this part, because what Brad Inglesby had done with our script was he created real people, they were real characters. And I just had to make myself as invisible as I could in this woman to make it hopefully convincing.
Let me ask you this. I know that you and Julianne Nicholson have known each other for a while now. And I think maybe watching the series unfold, people were like, why is she in this role? She shows up and she's great, but like, what is happening here? And then in the final 2 episodes, it sort of opens up and blooms. Why was it important for you to have her in this role? And what did it mean for the both of you to create Mare and Laurie's relationship like that?
As you say, Julianne and I have known each other a long time. Her husband is an English actor who went to university with my son's father, Sam Mendes. They were at university together. Jonathan Cake and Sam Mendes were, and so I've known Johnny for a really long time. And I remember when he met Julianne, it was this very exciting moment. And we were at their wedding. Actually, Sam was best man. And when Julianne gave birth to their first child, Iggy, I held him in my arms when he was less than 24 hours old. And so we had so many similarities in these key moments in our lives that Mare and Laurie would also have had. Mare would have held Ryan when he was 24 hours old. She would have held Moira. Laurie probably would have been outside of the room when Mare gave birth to Kevin and Siobhan. So we had these very real things that kind of bound us. And I just could never imagine anyone else but Julianne playing Laurie. I love her as an actress. She has a very unique quality, and she has a look about her that is, she's so, there's a translucency to her skin that I just find mesmerizing to watch, combined with her beautiful sleight of hand when it comes to performance work. And I just felt that there's a gentleness to her as a person and as a mother that I've seen myself that I absolutely knew we needed for Laurie. What I didn't know was how hard it was going to be to actually get her to say yes, not because she didn't love the character, because she did, but because she has 2 children. Her husband is also an actor. It's a huge juggle. She lives in California, and all of that travel was going to be hard. And I remember her saying to me, listen, I really want to do this, but I just need to know what happens in 7. Can you just slip me the script or just tell me? And I said to her, I can't, I mustn't. But if you don't say yes to playing this part, I think I can promise you that you are going to regret it. And she was like, okay, I'm in. I was like, oh my God. So she said yes without reading 7.
Oh my God.
I know. I just I can't believe
That's
it.
wild.
I can't believe we got her. I just felt so connected to her in every single scene we had together. There was an inherent trust and inbuilt, history, a few things that helped us, it was so special to look into those beautiful pale green eyes of hers, and to act with her was so special.
Right. Let me ask you a behind the scenes question. This was your first experience as an executive producer, like an active executive producer. What was it like? Because I've heard that you were very involved with spreading the clues and making sure the balance of episodes was right? What was it like breadcrumbing the information across 7 episodes to make sure you were crafting the right frame of mind for audiences, let's say?
That part was difficult, and it was difficult because everyone would have differing opinions. So, of course, Brad Inglesby it's his creation. He was our showrunner, and he had brilliantly crafted this entire show. Craig Zobel, our director, was able to bring the visual component and bring everything to life. But Craig was also, I felt, very, very responsible for those lighter moments, that sense of that brevity, those funny moments between Helen and Mare that you so desperately need. That incredible moment in episode 7 when Mare comes through the door, having been at the courthouse, and Helen just falls off her chair. I mean, that was written in by Brad Inglesby, but I was like, oh my God, like Craig made it that funny. God, and Jean, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jean Smart. I mean, she's just delicious. But in terms of breadcrumbing the clues, it did mean that I really had to show up and give notes on every edit, which is something that was very, very new for me. And the editors, and like Brad and Mark Roybal, one of our producers, and Craig Zobel, they would all get very set on a certain thing that they would feel needed to be cut or get moved into another episode. And case in point, the scene when Mare goes back to the Carroll's house in episode 3, and they call her round because Kyle, the kid from next door, is spray painted on the shed. That scene was cut, and I was like, guys, no, I'm sorry, you have to put it back in, please. And there was a call with the HBO executives and much higher powers with little old me saying, please believe me, you have to take the audience back to the Carroll house. Oh, yeah. You have Absolutely. To, and it has to be in episode 3. And they were like, well, what about if we moved it into 4? And I'm like, no, Mare's suspended in 4. You can't. And she's quite sort of chirpy and upbeat in that scene with the Carrolls. She can't be suddenly chirpy and upbeat in episode 4 when she's been suspended. Guys, it has to be. I mean, everyone totally listened. Like, it wasn't in any way a kind of like a standoff or anything. But for sure, there were moments like that when we all just had to remind ourselves what the original script said. And it was always a case of sticking to the original. And over, 3 years worth of time had gone by until we were actually putting these things together. And so sometimes it definitely took just saying, guys, no, please believe me. And luckily, we made it. We made it work. I do feel, in terms of that laying of the breadcrumbs.
I love it.
I think it did land.
One last question, and I'll let you go. I know you have a packed day. What is it about this character that will stay with you moving forward? Like, is there something about Mare that you will always kind of keep in your heart?
It's a huge question, actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not an off the cuff question.
No, I think, I mean, at face value, people could argue, but she's not, Kate Winslet's nothing like Mare, but there were a lot of things I felt very close to Mare on, and that was, raising teenagers. I have teenagers, those teenage years, they're almost as fragile as when they're babies, and we're terrified that they're going to trip over their shoelace and smash their teeth out. Right. And so I felt I had that connection. I grew up in a community very, very similar to the community that Mare is in. But the thing that resonated for me the most of all is that Mare is a woman who, when she decides that she is going to do something, she's going to do it. She won't listen. She won't take advice. She's just going to absolutely do it. And that's it, her way. That's exactly like me.
No way.
Exactly like me. My husband, my poor husband, he's so often, he's like, it's just, there's no point telling her, just leave her, she'll learn. He's so funny. But I think the thing I'll take away most of all is hopefully what audiences will take away too, which is that this is a middle-aged woman who just has to carry on, because sometimes as a woman, as a mother, you have no choice. You just have to keep going. And I think that for all of her faults and her flaws and how messy she is, actually Mare is a person who is very, very compassionate.
Oh yeah.
She's almost more compassionate and kinder to people outside of her family than she is to the people in the house that she lives. I think I'll just take that, really, that she, the compassionate, but messy side. She doesn't make any apology for who she is. I love the fact that she doesn't really look in the mirror. I love the fact that she eats cheese whiz on cheese balls.
Yeah.
That was improvised, by the way. I came up with that on the day. I was like, oh my God, hand me that spray cheese.
Yeah, that's
It was
inspiring.
it was kind of delicious. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, chemicals on chemicals, like there's no way to go wrong there.
I know, and those cheese balls, like they were the kind of great. They were the kind of great that gets stuck in your teeth. Kind of great.
110%. Yeah,
The kind
of snack you need a toothpick for.
They were the greatest thing on earth. And the props department gave me my own personal barrel of cheese balls as a wrap gift. I was so thrilled. They didn't make it back to the UK in one piece. Gone. They were fully gone.
You deserved
gone.
It. You did it.
Oh, that's what I said to myself with every single one. I'm like, I deserve these cheese balls.
This.
I deserve these. I earned these cheese balls.
Oh my God, I have a new mantra. That's gonna be great. That's my doctor's gonna be thrilled. I deserve these cheese balls. Kate, thank you so much. You should be so proud. Mare of Easttown was an accomplishment, and you as always were great. Thank you for making time for me, and have a great day.